Hi YouTube! It's time to talk about the trip I took by myself! So I don't think I mentioned this in the Okinawa or the Kansai blog, but Waseda's break between fall and spring semesters is 2 months long in February and March. So I decided to schedule my own personal trip starting on March 5th, right between the two IP trips. So ever since high school, I've known that there's this place in Japan that has about 12 Detective Conan statues. And Detective Conan has actually been my favorite anime for years. And a long time ago I decided that if I ever went to Japan, Conan Town was the #1 place that I wanted to visit. Conan Town being the place where all the statues are. So the only hiccup is that Hokue, the birthplace of Gosho Aoyama, the person who created Detective Conan, is in Tottori, which is really far away from Tokyo. Originally I was actually going to go with other people, but they got sick or they couldn't make it and the plans just fell through. And I was faced with the decision of going by myself or not going at all. It actually ended up being a blessing in disguise though, because even though it's more fun traveling with other people, I learned how strong and independent I had become while I was abroad. I was actually really terrified to go all the way out to what seemed like the middle of nowhere by myself, away from Tokyo where I had actually become comfortable. But it turned out to be amazing, and I urge anyone, if they have the time and the money but are afraid to go traveling alone, if it's a place you really want to go to, just go by yourself. Since Tottori is actually really far away, I decided to spend a few days at a good halfway point in Osaka, and while I was in Osaka I went to the Osaka Pokemon Center, which is basically just a huge store for Pokemon. I went to Universal Studios Japan, I went to Osaka Castle, and at the same time I went to the Hanatoro, which is in Kyoto, but Kyoto is actually just an hour train ride away from Osaka, so it wasn't that far. The main reason I went to Universal Studios Japan was because of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which I ended up spending 4 whole hours wandering around in. First I went to Ollivander's, where they have this little show. So Ollivander comes out and picks a kid from the audience and goes through the whole routine of finding them a perfect wand, including spells gone wrong. After that, I wandered through Hogsmeade and had my first butterbeer. It tastes really good except for this foamy part on top, and then I went on a Hogwarts Castle walkthrough, which was epic. Fun story from Harry Potter World: even though I wasn't in any particular cosplay, just my Gryffindor scarf and red plaid skirt, a couple of girls wanted a picture in front of the Hogwarts Express with me. I'm guessing the scarf, the skirt, and my curly brown hair combined together to make me look a whole lot like Hermione. And they weren't the only ones who wanted a picture, and it was actually pretty fun, kind of like being at an anime convention. Osaka Castle has basically been converted into a giant museum, which was showing a bunch of Toyotomi Hideyoshi exhibits when I went. There were 8 floors worth of exhibits, and I went through every floor via stairs, because that's all they had, which was murder on my knees, but also kind of worth it for all I got to see. My favorite parts of Osaka Castle were the top floor balcony, which went entirely around the building, the second floor where I took souvenir pictures in both a kimono and some sort of weird samurai getup, and the full-size replica of Toyotomi Hideyoshi's Golden Tea Room on the 3rd floor. Unfortunately, I couldn't take a picture of the Golden Tea Room or the portraits hanging scrolls holding screens, etc., because photography wasn't allowed on the 3rd and 4th floors. So the Hanatoro in March is in Kyoto near Higashiyama, and Hanatoro basically means Light and Blossoms Pathway. When I went, lights lined the streets leading to the main exhibition area, and different paths had different lights. It was really pretty. In the main exhibit areas, there were some ikebana. Some were pretty cool, some were pretty, and some were just odd, but they were all super awesome. The same can be said for the sculptures. Because I was late, I missed the Maiko's dancing, which I had really wanted to see. Fortunately, I did get there on time to see the Fox Wedding Procession, where the Fox God's bride travels in a carriage attended by the Fox God's attendants, and I saw the sand art show, which I can't even describe how awesome it was. It's like watching people paint with sand. was by far my favorite day of the trip and the thing I'd been most excited for. It all started with Konan Station, where there's a tourist office that tells you all about the city's attractions. There I was given a map which points out where all the Konan statues and the memoriam tablets of the first 30 or so manga covers are. I walked the whole 1.4 kilometer path from the station to the museum and took pictures of all the statues and tablets, and I also took selfies with the statues unless someone was around to take my picture for me. The Konan Bridge, which is about the halfway point along the path, had statues on either side and had bronzed Konan picture panels, which I also took pictures of. There was a lot of picture taking all around. There's also a stamp rally in which you visit various places around the city. I also did that because all the stamps were of Conan characters and I wanted to fill up that part of the guidebook. When I finally got to the museum about an hour and a half after arriving in Hokue, I had lunch at a nearby curry house before exploring the museum and playing with the interactive exhibits based on Agasa's inventions for over 3 hours, and just before I left I swung by the elementary school to take some pictures with the last Detective Conan statue. Hello. 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 Sama-sama out.